or write anything down unless you wish to, and we will aim to have this recording on our YouTube channel in all the languages that we on offer today. Thank you. I will give everyone a few minutes just to check and see that they can use the globe symbol and make their decision. Let me continue by just saying that we as a city of San Jose have a disclaimer on all our presentations. While every effort is made by the city of San Jose, its partners and interpreters to provide correct information, none of these parties will accept liability for misinterpreted, incomplete, old, or inaccurate information presented in good faith. Always consult with a financial or legal advisor on any critical issue. This is our disclaimer. Thank you. We try to make this webinar as informative and helpful to you as possible. You may have questions you'd like to ask as a result of something that we present today in our slides. If you wish to ask a question, you can use the chat box. Click on the chat box and it will also be where we will post links and other information that I refer to. So do take the opportunity of checking from time to time the chat box. Also, at the end of this webinar, we will email you a post-webinar survey. We're very interested just to ask a few questions to gain more information on whether you believe this webinar was helpful to you and other topics that you think the city should assist you with in providing information like today. Thank you. So let me begin by introducing why the city is launching the new small business grant program now. We want to continue to support the city's economic recovery. Most of our businesses are now open, are trading, and trying to recover lost income caused during the COVID pandemic of the past 2 years. We recognize that many businesses may have been closed and therefore have outstanding rent debt due from that period. We want to minimize the number of evictions to businesses here in the city. And so in wanting to achieve that, we are introducing now a new business grant program that may help you to pay any outstanding debt that is owed on your rent during the period of the COVID pandemic. And I will now spend the next 20 to 25 minutes explaining what the business grant is, how you can apply, and give you some top tips, some key pieces of information to help you along the way. So who are our partners? Firstly, it is the City of San Jose who is providing the funds, the money into the grant. And we are promoting that grant as we are now to you through today's webinar. We have another organization, Access SBDC, who are responsible for managing all aspects of the fund. This means that if you as a business owner choose to apply for a grant, you will be using the Access SBDC website and following all the procedures contained on their website. I will also provide you with their contact information and also provide you with an update on the issues as we proceed, because it will be Access SBDC's responsibility to manage all the applications. Thank you. So just by way of introduction, here are the key numbers. The city has made available $2.54 million for business grants. We expect there to be just over 300 awards made, and the maximum grant per business is $15,000. Now, the way the grant will be awarded is based on the annual gross receipts of a business. You can only use one business and make one application. So if you have gross receipts of up to $1 million, then you can apply for a business grant of $5,000. If you have annual gross receipts of up to $2 million, you can apply for a business grant of $10,000. And finally, if your business annual gross receipts are above $2 million and no more than $3 million, you can apply for a grant of $15,000. So there are 3 different grant awards: $5,000, $10,000, and $15,000, depending on the annual gross receipts of your business in either 2020 or 2021. And I shall come on to explain why that is important in a moment. But these are the 3 types of awards that will be made through this grant program. So, which category as a business, based on my annual gross receipts, will I use to make my application? The city is offering you a choice. You can either use the 2020 tax return or the 2021 tax return. It is your choice. So if, as by example, in 1 year, let's say 2020, your annual gross receipts was $1.5 million, but in the following year, 2021, your annual gross receipts was $2.5 million, then you should choose the 2021 year, because the higher annual gross receipts will enable you to apply for a higher level of grant, the $15,000. Let me give you a second example. Let's say in 2020, your business was closed for a very long time and your annual gross receipts was down to $200,000. But you had a fantastic year in 2021. Your business was open throughout all of the year and you made over $1 million. You can then use the year 2021 and you'll be eligible to apply for a $10,000 award. So by giving you the choice, you can see which of the 2 financial years is of benefit to you. Another example we've given is if in 1 year, say 2020, your annual gross receipts was $1.5 million. You had a fantastic recovery in 2021 and it went to $4 million, which of course means you cannot apply for the grant in 2021. So you can use the 2020 figures. So you have the choice to make based on the actual dollar number of your annual gross receipts in either of those 2 years. That's a very important point. So what are the key eligibility criteria that will be used to
Một
decide?
cái điều kiện mà để quý vị được xếp thuận đó là
I'll just pause for a moment so that the Vietnamese translator can go back into the room.
tôi vừa mới được là có tiếng Việt, thông dịch tiếng Việt trong phòng.
Henry, you're still in the English room.
Tôi mới viết là tôi được biết là có một thông dịch viên tiếng Việt
Okay.
vào trong phòng.
All right. Let's stop, Henry. Let Vic continue, and then I'll figure this out.
Okay, thank you. So let's look at the key eligibility criteria for the Business Grant Award. As an owner, can I apply? First of all, the rent debt has to be incurred from the following dates: March 24th, 2020 through to August 19th, 2021. Why are those dates so important? And the answer is because that is when the county had a rent eviction moratorium. Businesses, business tenants could not be evicted for non-payment of rent. And under the county's rules, businesses have been given up to 1 year from August the 19th, 2021, to repay that outstanding debt. So the city is offering the grant program to attempt to support those businesses with debt from that period. And that legally is important because that is when the rules allow the rent relief program to come into effect. Moving on, I've already explained why the annual gross receipts must be below $3 million. And for those of you not familiar with annual gross receipts, that is different from your profit. The annual gross receipts is all the income that came into your business in that single financial year. Your business must have 10 or fewer full-time employees, including the business owner. Now, a lot of businesses have part-time workers, or the number of workers varied during the year because a business may not need everyone all of the time. And our delivery organization, Access SBDC, has a form that allows each business to check using either their 940 form that is used for payroll with IRS, or other documents that a business may use to prove their payroll. And the Access SBDC form will allow you to make that calculation. We will cover this question in our session after my slide deck, because I know we've already received questions on that issue. Your business, you must have been trading, i.e. receiving income, prior to March the 24th, 2020. This is important because businesses could not have predicted the impact of COVID and any closures that would have arisen before that date. You must, of course, always have a current San Jose business tax license. Now, some businesses have said, oh, I don't have that. Where do I go to get my business tax license? You can do that in one of two ways. You can look up your business tax on the City of San Jose's website, www.sanjoseca.gov, or go to City Hall and you will find on the first floor a section that deals with business tax. Many business owners find it more convenient to pay their business tax license online, but you must have a current business tax license by May the 30th this year, because that is the final day when an application for the grant can be made. A business that is also in Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceedings may apply for the grant, because the principle here is that the business intends to continue. So a business in Chapter 11 bankruptcy is perfectly entitled to apply for the grant. We also want to allow businesses that may have received a federal or state grant during the pandemic, such as the Paycheck Protection Program, commonly known as PPP, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And we know from figures released by the federal government that over 10,000 businesses here in San Jose have received this type of loan, as well as the California Relief Grant Program and the Micro Business Grant Program, and our earlier grant program that the city offered 18 months ago, that yes, you can apply for this grant. So if you've had a PPP, EIDL, or any of the local and state grant programs, you are eligible to apply. The city would like to give priority to those small businesses that have not received any federal or state of California loans or grants to date. We think, looking at the figures we have received, Many businesses in the city have received a grant or a loan, but not all. And so we are particularly interested to receive an application from a business that has not received any loans or grants over the past 2 years. So priority will be given when undertaking the system for awarding a grant to know if your business has or has not received any loan or grant in the past 2 years. So that's the important eligibility criteria. How do I apply for this grant? It's a two-step process. Step one, complete a pre-application questionnaire. This is available to you on the Access SBDC website, and I will provide you with the link later in this slide deck. Then, when you complete the pre-application questionnaire, it's just 5 or 6 questions. This will determine whether you are eligible. Let's assume you are eligible, as we want you to be. Then you have to complete and submit a full application. We would like as many applications to be completed online. But if you're unable to access a computer, or you are not confident in the use of a computer to submit an application, you can contact Access SBDC and make an appointment to go and see them and complete a paper application. We are encouraging as many business owners to make their application using the QR code that you see on this slide deck today. And if for any reason that QR code is faulty or has been changed, then please contact the Office of Economic Development here at the city or Access SBDC, and we will ensure that you have the correct link and the correct means by which you can access both the pre-application questionnaire and the full application. I have been asked a question, can you just complete the full application without the pre-application? And the answer to that, unfortunately, is no. You must do the pre-application first and then undertake and submit a full application. If you are unsure, having completed the pre-application and the full application, please contact Access SBDC and they can check your name and address to see if they've received all the documents and they are content that the application has been correctly made. We do hope that the application process is easy and straightforward for you to complete, but we know that your circumstances and the questions you may have may require attention, and we would be very happy for you to seek either information request from the Office of Economic Development or go directly to Access SBDC, who are managing the program on behalf of the city. So how to apply? As I've mentioned, you must submit the completed application or go in person before 5 p.m. May the 30th this year. We will not accept any applications after 5 p.m. on May the 30th. And here we are on May the 18th. So we have 12 days for any business owner here in the city to make that application. If you're unsure of who to contact, here is the address of Access SBDC, 1877 Monterey Road, San Jose, CA 95122. And Ali has joined me today from Access SBDC and will no doubt provide more information and detail on many of the issues and questions I've presented to you today and that we'll review in the chat box soon. So once you've made an application, there will be a checking process to know whether your application is accurate. And so you should have the following pieces of information available to you at the point you apply. Firstly, a valid government issue photo ID. You can use a California ID or driver's license. A copy of the current business tax certificate. As I was mentioning earlier, you have a further 12 days to obtain a current license should you not have one. And rental lease or current past rent documentation. Most current documentation showing the number of employees and their hours worked per week. And a form is available from Access SBDC if you don't have any other payroll documentation. And I know we have questions that we will cover in our Q&A shortly. And last but not least, as I mentioned earlier, you must provide either the 2020 or the 2021 annual tax return so that we have evidence that you were a business operating in the city and that you did have income. So you've made an application, you have the information to support the application. How will a grant be awarded? The most important point to make is that this will not be on a first come, first served basis. So if a grant application was received 5 minutes after the application process was open, it will wait within the SBDC until all applications have been received by May 30th. And a lottery will be used to randomly select grant recipients. We want, as a city, to ensure that every business applicant has an even chance of receiving one of these awards.
Được cái sự tài trợ đó thì cái cơ quan SBDC
SBC
và
sẽ
quý vị
coi
sau đó trước
tất cả
khi
những
mà
cái dữ kiện, những cái thông
sẽ
tin
liên
mà
lạc,
quý vị nộp
SBDC sẽ liên lạc với người chủ nhân cho mỗi một cái người mà cuối cùng đã được chọn lựa. Và cái cách mà chúng tôi làm việc ở đây là SBDC sẽ đưa thẳng với người chủ của mỗi một cái doanh nghiệp đó,
liên lạc với lại
và cái người chủ đó phải đồng ý là sẽ dùng cái tiền đó để mà trả cái tiền nhà
quan trọng nhất
và phải đưa cái UV9
là
và những cái tiền đó chúng tôi sẽ trả thẳng cho người chủ nhà vì cái tiền thiếu, cái tiền nhà thiếu. Thế thì cái phần quan trọng nhất của chúng tôi ở đây là quý vị nên đọc cái đơn xin trên online rất là cẩn thận.
Điều quan trọng là đọc cái bảng cái tờ khai xin đó rất là kỹ càng, rồi thu thập tất cả những cái documents và sẽ cần trước khi mà bắt đầu.
So you should always check before you start.
Nếu mà không có hiểu gì thì luôn luôn cần phải là coi lại coi. Điều hết sức quan trọng là khi mà làm cái đơn xin đó. Thế bây giờ là làm sao mà gặp được SBDC đó? Cái địa chỉ của SBDC là 1887 Monterey Road, lầu thứ nhì, San José, California 95112, và cái địa chỉ là 408 385 9800.
So it just comes to me to say
cảm ơn quý vị và chúc quý vị
good luck. And I'm now going to pause for a moment so that I can begin to turn to any of the questions that we've received in the chat box. And Ali Lopez and I will try and faithfully work through every question in order. This may take some time, but as we work on your question, we will also invite you for any follow-up questions. So anything that we've said that you want to check or you want to ask a further question, please feel free to use the Q&A facility. Because between Ali and myself, we will aim to try and answer every question in that chat box. So let me pause just for one moment so that I can look at the chat box and invite Ali to join me now, and we can work through those questions. I can see that we have 35 questions already, and I'm just moving up to the first one. I'm getting through all the translation questions because that's not relevant to the detail.
And when you get to the Chinese question, just let me know. I'll translate that for you.
Okay. So the first one, Jai Wei, is from Ying Li to all panelists.
So they're asking if their revenue is not up to 1 million, will they still qualify?
Yes, they will. They'll be eligible so long as they have $1 of annual gross receipts. They'll be able to make an application, and if it's up to $1 million of annual gross receipts, the grant available is $5,000.
直到100万的收入的话，那么
Now I've got a question here from Richard Castro, Tasty Mob Market of 1255 El Camino. If you're in Sunnyvale, Richard, then you're not eligible to apply unless that address is in the city of San Jose. We have to be strict, unfortunately, and say only applications where the business is located here in the city can apply. If that is your residential address, but your business is located within the city of San Jose, you may make an application. So it's the business address that counts. There's no difference as to whether you are a food truck, a restaurant, an office, a construction company, all businesses that are registered as having a business tax license here in the city of San Jose, eligible to apply. I think, Richard, what you're asking a further question, we have a weekly market in San Jose beginning in July 22. We have to ask, I think, the basic question here, where were you in prior to March 24th, 2020? That was the active date within which the rent debt became countable for the purpose, eligible for the purpose of this grant. So if you cannot evidence that you were physically located here in the city prior to the March 24th, 2020, it's unlikely your application will be accepted. I'm very happy to say, Richard, if you want to follow up with Access SBDC after today's webinar, you're very welcome to do so. If a landlord, we've got a good question from Marie Fong here. If a landlord has residential rentals, can they apply for this grant? I would need to check the rules and come back to you on that, Marie, because in a sense, it's like you're wearing both hats here. You're the landlord and potentially the beneficiary from the tenant, but there could be a case that needs to be made here that we would look into further. So let me think about that, and I may ask Ali to join me in wanting to answer that question at any point. Ali, are you with us?
Yeah, we had previously had both on, it's a case-by-case basis, so I'd have to look at it a little bit further in order to determine that.
Okay, got it. I think you're probably unlikely, Marie, but we would do a double check, as Nathan has kind of indicated there. Right, let me think. Okay. Jai Wei, would you like to introduce Shirley Tan's question to us, please?
Oh, so that was the question I translated earlier about not reaching 1 million.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Non-profits, we've got a question from Louis Minoz. Non-profits are not part of this grant program. You have to be a profit-based business to be eligible to apply. Question from Yang Li, minimum gross income, $1. Any info will be highly appreciated. We'll send you the link and the link to the application process at Access SBDC after this webinar. Yes, everyone will have access to the PowerPoint slides when we load the YouTube video up. If there's any reason why you do not see the slide deck, you can always contact the Office of Economic Development. I or one of my colleagues will be very happy to supply you with the slide deck.
I think Ying Li has another question. Vic, is that what you're looking at?
I was just moving down in order. But do you want to read the question out, Ali? You may see it. And
I know, I think Jiawei will have to ask that
Oh,
since
so she's
Okay.
asking for the address and the phone number for, I assume for SBDC.
Do you see? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just go back on the slide. There it is. So you should see on the screen there. And I know that Access SBDC is very, very busy trying to respond to all the applications that are coming in and all the contacts. So please be patient with them. But there you can see the address and the telephone number to call the organization should you have any questions. Ali, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I'll put the email in the chat as well.
Yeah. Is email the best way to communicate with you?
We're covering all bases, so
Okay.
email is always good because then I could go back and look at it. But any way that you want to reach out, just don't stop by without an appointment because it'll be very difficult to see someone. Some of us are still working remotely.
Yes.
The office is open, but by
Yes.
appointment.
By appointment is good, isn't it? Because it's manageable. Yes. Thank you, Connie, from President of the Alum Rock Santa Clara Street Business Association. Yes, any help that can be given in providing a computer to a business owner would be fantastic. We're trying to encourage as many applicants to use a computer, but if you're unable to, there is the option of making an appointment, as Ali was just mentioning, to be able to complete the process using paper at the offices of the SBDC. Good question from April. This can only apply to debt, not to reimburse for rent that I paid, even if I suffered while paying. It's a really good question because the city could not have predicted how much damage the COVID pandemic would cause to businesses, nor were we able to know how businesses would respond in terms of their cash flow and their other needs and costs that they were incurring whilst they were losing income. So the city is extremely sympathetic to that, but we have to define a position that is acceptable both to the law and to the way that the Santa Clara County ordinance was in effect. And therefore we can only connect the business grant to any outstanding debt that is due from rent during those 2 dates that I mentioned. And yes, the grant is only to cover outstanding business rent debt from that period. The SBDC phone number, as Pamela is asking, is on the screen now, as well as David.
Doesn't it also apply for utility debt?
Yes, what we're suggesting here with utility debt is if in fact the rent debt is not as high as the grant award. So yes. that way, all of the money is correctly accounted for. I thank you for drawing that to my attention. I did not get into the complexity of utility debt because the primary purpose is to cover rent debt from that.
The SBDC will discern that once we go through your applications.
Yes, exactly. We want to encourage the business owner to apply, but it's very important for SBDC, Ali, as you were just saying, to be able to scrutinize and look at the detail carefully before making a decision. We rented our space in residential property. Will that qualify for the grant? No, I'm sorry. This applies to commercial space only. We cannot use this grant for home-based businesses. I'm sorry, but that's how we have to define the program. Do I need to provide owner documents when applying? Ali, do you want to cover that one?
Owner documents as in, are you the landlord or the business owner?
I'm assuming documents as in the ones I mentioned, such as your annual gross receipts and evidence of rent debt.
Yes. So once you go through the pre-screen and then you're able to get to the application, at the end of the application, you will upload the requested documents.
Got it. Thank you. Just to check a question from Nguyen, sorry. Is this all lottery based? The answer is yes. There's no preference given to one application over another. Everyone has the same chance, provided they complete the application form and they meet the eligibility criteria.
So David Lee was asking about the employee payroll worksheet.
Yes.
David, once you go through the application process, it'll ask for you to either upload your payroll statement, or you could download our form, fill it out, and then upload that form. So you will be able to access through the application.
Okay, thank you. CC asks, it's some issue if I have a regular job and my little business. The last time my application for a grant was rejected for this reason. I'm not sure. What would you think on that one, Ali?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I have a regular job and a small business. The last time my application for a grant was rejected for this reason. Obviously, we don't know what the grant program that CC may have applied to, but what's your take on that one?
So the micro grant is probably what she's referencing.
Okay.
That was one of the criterias. They look at all of your income. So if you've got a job as well as a small business, many people did not qualify for the micro grant, but in this case, it doesn't apply. It doesn't restrict you.
Okay, very good.
But with regards to the award of the tiers, we're only looking at your business income.
Right. Just checking is one question from Marcio that we're going to send a link for the application. I assume that we can put that link into the chat so that everyone can see that and they can copy it and use it. The QR code is not working for me. Okay, we'll check that again for you. But if in doubt, we will try and put the direct web link here into the chat so that everyone can use it. Does a short-term rental qualify with a business license in San Jose? A short-term rental.
You mean like an Airbnb?
I wasn't sure. I stopped in my tracks because I wasn't entirely sure of what the question meant. Perhaps we could ask Pamela just to give us a bit more detail, a short bit of detail in the chat if you're there, Pamela, and we'll try and give you an answer. The other question is, how soon will the funds be dispersed and when will we receive them? Well, timing is often influenced by the number of applications that Access SBDC receive. Ideally, we're looking to be able to agree the awards towards the end of July into August. Ali, would you like to add anything on that point?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. I can see my colleague Elizabeth has put the link in and you should be able to see it there, accesssbdc.org/SJRR22/. So please use that link that will take you to the application process. The pre-application is where you start on the Access SBDC website. Cannot read the phone number. Yellow is too bright. I apologize. It is 408 385 9800. Did I understand you to say that the city has put a moratorium on eviction due to non-payment of rent of this year? No, what is meant is that if you incurred rent debt from March 24th, 2020 through to August the 19th, 2021, you have up to a year to repay any debt incurred during that time period. But if you are behind on your rent from August the 20th onwards through to today, then you are subject to the terms of your lease agreement with your landlord, and you have to negotiate, presumably, the terms of any repayment to avoid an eviction notice being served. So it's very important, number one, you know what the terms of your lease agreement are for any rent debt after August the 19th, 2021. The city does not have a current eviction ordinance in place to cover this. We are only allowed to work from the dates that fell within the rules that were set out by Santa Clara County, which is why we have to tie the grant payment to any rent that is still due from that time period. Michael, if there's anything you're unsure about, please follow up with another question. Tanisha says, I started this year as a non-profit but lost that status. Currently, I am considered a for-profit agency. Do I still qualify? Well, if you began organizing or operating your business after March the 24th, 2020, then no, you do not qualify. But if you were actively in business and that business is still trading today, then you can apply. We can check the detail with you. I would suggest that you may wish to contact SBDC outside of this webinar, but please follow up with a question. But you must be a for-profit business that was established prior to March the 24th, 2020, and you must be anticipating continuing to be in business once the grant program has reached its last day, which is May the 30th this year. And you have to be able to show through your tax return, either 2020 or 2021, that you were in receipt of income for profit on a for-profit basis. So your circumstances may be quite detailed and complex here, and it may be worth considering a further conversation with Access SBDC. Ali, was there anything you would like to add to that?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Great job, Vic.
That's all right. This is just rent only, correct? Yes. Is this San Jose locations only? Yes, only the city of San Jose. If my business has a San Jose location and different locations, where does the rent need to be applied? Logically, it would be yes, a San Jose address only. So the rent debt must be incurred on the property that's located in the city of San Jose.
So
Okay.
Pamela's answering our question earlier with regards to property, and she said yes, Airbnb.
Okay.
So
All right.
my question would be is, what commercial rent do you owe?
Yes, for that period, of time.
Right, and your lease agreement.
Mm-hmm. With whom?
With whom?
Yeah.
Shall we have Pamela speak if she wishes to speak and ask the question in more detail?
Okay, all right. We don't usually do that, but okay.
Yeah.
Does that help you, Pamela, if you were to talk to us? You don't have to. We can pick this up outside of the webinar.
Yeah.
We generally don't go into too much detail about a personal business owner or their circumstances because it's a private issue. But we do genuinely try and take an interest in answering everything that's in front of us. I think, yeah, okay. Pamela, if there's anything there we can try and help you with outside of the webinar, we would like to have a conversation with you. We don't want you to feel either we've confused you or we've left issues that we haven't clarified or attempted our best to try and help you with.
Yes, we can take it offline. Did you want me to just put my phone number in the chat?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. The seminar is wonderful. Thank you.
Pleasure. So I think we've tried to cover every question in the chat box this afternoon. Please, I'm going to just leave the chat box open in case there's something we missed or if someone would like to come back and ask a follow-up question. I'm seeing nothing now. So just to recap before we finish, firstly, I'd like to thank all the businesses and business owners that joined us this afternoon. We want to see as many of you make an application as possible. You must complete the pre-application and then the full application. We would like you to use the internet and a computer to apply online. But if you're unable to do that, you can, by appointment with Access SBDC, go to their offices and complete a paper application. There will be a lottery system used, so it is equal and fair to everyone who makes an application. And we hope, depending on the number of grants that Ali and her colleagues at SBDC need to work through and check and verify, that we will be looking to publish the awards and make payments somewhere in late July and in August of this year. I'd just like to finish by saying thank you to all our interpreters today and all my colleagues who helped promote and put this webinar on for you. I hope you found it of help and assistance, and we would just like to conclude by saying good luck, please apply. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Joey.
Oh, that's great. I just see a hand raised in our from Mary Fong, but I'm not sure if she already has her answer.
Can I suggest to Mary that if she's not had the answer, would she like to leave a contact cell number, and either Ali or myself will try and respond to her in the next 30 minutes. I can call her if that helps.
Yeah. And then we also have another hand up by Shirley Tan.
Okay.
I will unmute her.
Good afternoon, Shirley.
您好，我是讲中文的。
Okay. I guess can we have the Mandarin interpreter come?
I speak Mandarin. May I speak Mandarin? Can you hear?
If you speak English, that's
Yes.
fine. But if you speak Mandarin, we'll have the interpreter.
Yeah. Hello, this is Mandarin interpreter. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Go ahead, Shirley. Go ahead and ask your question in Mandarin.
Okay. 我是想问一下，在我提交申请的时候，我是否就应该取得业主的同意书或者什么材料吗？或者就只是需要那个我的租金欠款的这个证明和租约就可以了吗？我需要得到那个业主的同意书之类的东西吗？ So I'm wondering at the time of submitting the application, I wonder if I have to obtain the consent document, any document from the business owners. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
I have been interpreting. I just wonder if anyone can hear me. So at the time of submitting application, I wonder if I need to obtain consent letter or document from the business owner.
Vic, I think I can't hear you, Vic.
Oh. I'm not on mute, so you should be able to hear me.
I can hear you.
Thank you.
I can hear you better.
Okay. If you're able to ask me the question in English, that would help, but I totally understand why that may not be possible.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I see. When I want I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry. No, that's fine. That's fine. We can just check with the Mandarin interpreter in one moment. We would like to try and answer your question or be as helpful as we can to you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Maybe, Joey, you could allow the Mandarin interpreter who I can read in the chat box was saying I was interpreting, but we couldn't hear that person.
Okay, so let me do it. So I think she's asking, does she need the approval from her landlord, or she can just submit the documents showing that she owes rent to her landlord?
Okay, great question. Ali, you're probably better placed than me to answer that one. Apologies for
That's okay.
pushing that to
So
you.
to apply, you don't need to get any permission from your landlord. However, we will verify with your landlord that the information you provided is correct and up to date.
首先你是要看
Thank you. So
is that too fast?
That's very good.
And then once we verify, they do have to provide us with written proof as well as their W-9 and be willing to accept the payment on your behalf.
Got it.
请问是业主的书面批准吗？
So is that the written approval letter from the landlord?
Can you give us
We send them a form
Okay.
to verify the information that
给他们发一个表，然后来核实这些信息。
Okay.
And Shirley, 你要不把你的电话给我，然后我们线下跟你联系，好吗？
OK
好吧。
OK，
So I just told her to give us her phone number and we will talk offline.
Okay.
Got it. Got it.
Thank you.
Well,
我怎么给呢？
你发到就是 chat room 里面就好了。
so I just wanted to make sure that we gave every
发 email 还是
okay,
email 也
every-
可以 ，email 也可以。
email 是到那个 info 那个里头吗？
Okay. Hold on, Nick. Vic. So
That's okay.
I'm gonna send her an email
Yes.
and she'll send us the her phone number. I'm gonna mute her right now. Go ahead.
Perfect. Perfect. So I just wanted to make sure for all our business owners with us now on the webinar, if you have any final questions, we'd be delighted to try and answer them, whether it's in Chinese, Vietnamese, or Spanish. If you want to follow up directly with Access SBDC on any one of the more detailed points about the eligibility, the form, and the evidence, please look at their website first, because there's a very, very good FAQ, a very good question and answer that covers most of the issues that we've talked through this afternoon. If you're not able to see the answer you're looking for your question, then please follow up. I think we have reached the end of today's webinar. I do want to thank everyone for participating, all my colleagues who hosted, all our interpreters who did a super job today of being able to translate. And to you, the business owners, I want to wish you every success going forward. And the city wants to congratulate you on what must have been an extremely difficult period over the past 2 years, and wish you every success for the future. Access SBDC also offers free business mentoring by appointment and by becoming a client, and you can look at their website to see more information that is available that may be of interest to you in addition to this grant process. Final word to you, Ali?
I was actually going to say the same thing, even if you don't, if you feel you don't qualify for this program, we can assist you in other ways and see if there's other programs or loans or to help you with bookkeeping, marketing, other ways to help your business. So yeah, reach out.
Very good, Ali. Thank you very much. Thank you for everything you do at Access SBDC.
Thank you.
And goodbye. Good afternoon.
Bye.